This is the Aftermarket Radio Network.
Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Auto Repair Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Walker, and today my co-host is finally back with me. Welcome back, Kim.
Thanks. Hi, everybody.
So Kim is 2 weeks and 2 days out of back surgery as we sit here and record this. She's kind of down for the count right now, but she is joining me today for these episodes, and I'm glad to have her back. Before we get too far into this episode is going to be about the idea of stop playing small, because so many of us will play small in business, and it is my goal today to get you to think big, to dream big, and to stop playing small. But before we get too far into that, I want to thank our sponsors, RepairPal and App Fueled. So thank you to our friends at RepairPal for providing this episode. As shop owners, we were part of RepairPal Certified Network. You can learn more at RepairPal.com/shops. And are you ready to convert clients to members? App Fueled specializes in creating custom apps tailored specifically for your auto repair businesses. Build client loyalty. Get started today with your own customer loyalty app. Visit appfueled.com. That's AppFueled.com. We're excited to have App Fueled as a new sponsor of the Auto Repair Marketing Podcast. I saw the product myself and was incredibly impressed. And it's so much more than an app, than a app for your clients. But we're going to get into that over some time and really talk about what that product is. It is a truly great product. All right, Kim, let's get into this episode about stop playing small. You know that this is something that I get a little passionate about.
Yeah, I'm surprised that you wanted me in on this one because I've never been that person. Brian always is the think big, dream big, go hard, go all in type of person. I'm getting there, but it's not traditionally been me. So thanks for inviting me on your podcast, Brian.
The auto repair business is tough. Like, if you're going to be in this business, you're dealing with things like hiring issues. And, every business is dealing with hiring issues right now. But the auto repair business definitely has its own unique things when it comes to hiring that cause challenges. So it's different, the hiring issues. You're dealing with a stigma around the industry where people think that they're going to get taken advantage of if they bring their car in for auto repair. You've got technology that is constantly changing, and you have to keep up with the technology and the tooling and all of that. And then you have the whole right to repair thing. You've got manufacturers who are trying to keep you out of their cars because they want that business themselves. So they try to keep the information away from you. They try to keep you out of the tooling. This is a tough business. It's not like every other business that's out there. It is tougher. And, maybe everybody thinks that the business that they're in is tough, but the auto repair business, it is a different animal. And I will fight with somebody over that one because it truly is a different animal. So in this business, if you're going to be in it, you've got to make it pay off. You've got to make it worth it. We're going to talk about not playing small today. We're going to talk about building a business that's highly successful. And there's people that I have conversations with about, and, I have conversations with about things like this. And you've got people out there that are like, well, money isn't everything. Money won't make you happy. And ultimately, when we're talking about building a successful business, there's definitely more to it than money, but money is a big part of it. They're right. Money is not everything. Money itself will not make you happy. We can get into the scripture of, the love of money being the root of all evil and all of those things. But you can do a lot of good in the world when you have a successful business that gives you the money to do things and the time to do things. There's a saying out there that I love, when we talk about how money isn't everything. And that saying is, well, I'd rather cry in a Mercedes than in a Pinto. And it's true. The money is nice. It allows you to do nice things. But, the fact is broke people have to focus on survival. All of their focus is internal. When you are in a different place financially, you can do a lot of good in the world. You can invest that money into, other people and other things and, help in the places where you're passionate and all of that. You have one life and one family, so like don't waste it all inside of a shop. And building that successful business is actually going to allow you to get outside of the shop as well.
The thinking big thing, it's not all money, although money gives you the resources to be able to do the things that you want. Brian and I have learned that our goals, I guess you would say, are very different. For me, it's about freedom to do whatever I want. I will have made it. My friends know this. When I am on the sea turtle watch team, waking up every morning, walking on the beach, looking for turtle tracks. It's not a thing that I want to buy, but I certainly can't get to that point in life without had the big dream, worked really hard, done things differently, gone big, gone hard, gone all in. I just want to plant that seed for some people who it's okay that it's not necessarily a dollar number that you have in your head, but it could be something other than that.
Yeah. So, like Kim said, it's not all about money. It can be about the dream. And on a side note, Kim was talking about the turtle. We have not talked about the turtle on the podcast, I don't believe, Kim.
We have not.
Kim and I were, as we were traveling up to ASTA this year, we stopped and we went over to St. George Island and we were walking down the beach and came across a sea turtle that was like half buried in the sand. And I thought that it was dead at first, but it was actually still alive. And we got to be, part of a turtle rescue. Now, sadly, this turtle did not make it very much longer after it got to the turtle hospital, but it was a very unique experience. It was an amazing experience getting to be face to face with that animal and to be able to spend some time with it.
And I think you got it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that you really got it before.
No, I did. I think that honestly, I think that it would be the same with any kind of animal that, that you don't normally as a human get to interact with that way. But, such a beautiful, majestic, huge creature. And it had, like, its shell was broken. It was missing half of a flipper. It had some old injuries that had made the turtle very sick. But we got to show it the love of humans, in the days before it passed. But that was an incredible experience. Anyway, we'll get back to the topic at hand. I'm talking about making it pay off. I have to acknowledge the fact that people will guilt trip you when you have a successful business. Like or just when you have a successful life. Like people will try to make you feel guilty for that. Like I personally know people that have chosen to play small because their circle will guilt them for becoming successful. It's like, the bucket of crabs where when one crab is about to escape, the other person or, the other crabs reach up and drag it back down. And your friend group will do that to you also. And we're going to talk about that specifically in a little bit. But I wanted to mention that up front about how people will guilt trip you. And that's one of those things that you just have to, you have to really pay attention to, who you're allowing to influence you like that.
Yeah, I think I love to play Simon Sinek's TED Talk about Start With Why. If you haven't read that book, I think you really need to read that book because it helps you, at one point in our life, and Brian's going to talk about this in just a minute, I just wanted to know that I could pay my bills, right? And just be able to live a good, happy life. My why changed though. And when you really figure out why are you doing what you're doing, it will make a difference. And for those crabs that get pulled back down, it's because they can't explain why they're doing what they're doing. So I think you have to really know what your calling is, what your why is, what your purpose is.
Yeah. But a lot of us will get tempted to just build that lifestyle business. And the lifestyle business it's the business that it just allows you to live, an okay life. It's maybe a little bit more than a job. A lot of people who build lifestyle businesses, and I have heard this countless times when talking to people where they're like, I just want to pay the bills and be comfortable. And it's exactly what Kim just said. And there was a time that she was like that. There was a time that I was like that, especially, when we were coming out of our bankruptcy. And if you don't know anything about that story, go all the way back to episode 2 of the Auto Repair Marketing Podcast, and you can hear our story of losing our shop and going bankruptcy or going into a bankruptcy and all of this. And when we were there, all I wanted was just to pay the bills and to be comfortable. So you have to look at the outside influences in your life and what's causing you to think the way that you're thinking. And anytime that you are in a place of lack or struggle or hardship, all that you want during that time, you're not thinking about thriving. You're just thinking about getting to the point where you're no longer struggling. So you have to look at where you are at when you are making a decision like this as to whether or not you're going to stop playing small. But the other thing about a lifestyle business and this idea of I just want to pay the bills and be comfortable is that you'll never get there. Like a lifestyle business doesn't ever truly make you even comfortable because there's no safety net with a lifestyle business. A lifestyle business, a couple of bad months and you're in a really bad spot. You know, also with a lifestyle business, you're not only holding yourself back, but you're holding your family back from thriving. You're holding your employees back from thriving. And you're also negatively impacting your clients. And I've talked about this in a lot of episodes, actually, because we were at the summit and I heard Cecil Bullard talk about, you know, how you as a shop owner have this responsibility to build a business that thrives, because the example that he gave was you need to be able to take care of your client. When you do that transmission job and the transmission fails, you need to be able to never even question, are you going to make that right? You know, whether that is putting another new transmission in completely at your cost or whatever it is, your business should have you in a financial position where you never have to think about how can I get out of making this right or finding a cheaper way or a way that may not be completely the way that you should be making it right.
Or putting your business in a position to be able to be generous and give and help people.
Time to thank our friends at RepairPal for making this episode possible. Don't get left behind. Today's tech-savvy consumers value instant gratification, so they start their searches for a repair shop on their computers and smartphones. These power users research auto repair and service options and decide which shops to engage with in an instant. Gain these customers by being RepairPal certified. They provide proof that your prices are fair with their best-in-class estimator. They're the largest site for auto repair, and they will introduce your shop to new customers through RepairPal.com and through the recommendation of partners like USAA, CarMax, and Consumer Reports. As shop owners, we were in the RepairPal certified network, and it helped grow our business. You have to be in it to win it, so head on over to RepairPal.com/shops and set up a call to learn more. When you sign up, you'll get 1 month of service free and save $150 off certification. That's RepairPal.com/shops.
Independent auto repair shops, get ready to transform your business with App Fueled. It's time for your professional auto service shop to have its own customer loyalty app. App Fueled will build an app that launches a custom loyalty program for your shop in 30 days or less, fully integrated with your point of sale system. Bring Fortune 500 level customer retention strategies to your business without the Fortune 500 budget. Many shops are enjoying the benefits. Our app engages your customers with a loyalty ladder, enticing them to climb the next rung, coming back more often and spending more each visit, all with your own app. Build loyalty with your customers to your brand and boost your shop's growth. Get your first app in 30 days or less, all without breaking the bank. Ready to start? Let AppFueled take your business to the next level. Go to appfueled.com or meet founder Jeremy Glasgow and book your complimentary app vision session at appfueled.com/Jeremy. That's appfueled.com/Jeremy. If you go back to my episode on the hierarchy of needs, Walker's hierarchy of marketing needs, you know, we talk about being significant, and we're talking about it from the standpoint of the business, you know, but with most small businesses, the business and you kind of are synonymous when it comes to that, you know, but being able to just do good things in the world. And that comes back to like having money allows you to be able to do those things. Having additional time allows you to do those things. You know, the other thing about that lifestyle business is you never get to retire, or you certainly won't be able to retire comfortably, you know, and you can't do this forever. I don't care who you are. You cannot turn wrenches forever. This business will beat you up, like it will destroy your body, and you can only do this for so long. So I'm encouraging you today to build more than just that lifestyle business. If there are a lot of owners out there who have built a business that it allows them to, maybe I'm being a little stereotypical here, but it allows you to build the race car, and go race that on the weekend. But, one unfortunate happening in your life, could turn everything upside down. But if you just get serious about building a business, and I'm going to refer to it as an empire business, if you get serious about building an empire business, then, things like that are just an inconvenience. Whereas with a lifestyle business, it completely negatively impacts the trajectory of your life. The other thing is, it is more stressful to have a mediocre business than it is to have an empire business. One of the things that I've heard people say when we talk about building a highly successful business is, well, I just don't want to work that hard. And it's like, do you know how much harder it is to have that?
It's stressful.
Yeah, it is so hard, so stressful to have a mediocre business. With the empire business, you have more clients to make happy. You have more employees to manage. But with that mediocre business, you have cash flow issues. You have low employee morale. You have poor customer experiences. Like, that is a much more difficult business to run, is that, just that lifestyle business, that business that's really a job. It is so much.
And you're wearing so many more hats. Your responsibilities are so much greater. It's like you go to bed thinking about it. You wake up thinking about it. You still do that even with an empire business, but it's on a different level.
Yeah. So how do you take that lifestyle business and build it into a significant business, that empire that I'm talking about? Well, some of the things that you have to do for that are, you have to make time to think. And we're actually doing an entire podcast episode about making time to think. This one should be episode number 125, I believe. And that one will be, I think, 2 episodes from now, episode 127. Entire episode about making time to think. And it's so important. But you've got to make time to get yourself out of your business, to get all of the external influences away from you, shut off your phone, get to a place that is not the familiar, so you don't do this at home. You don't do this at the shop. You get away and you go do this, and you literally sit there with a pen and paper and nothing else. And you just clear your head and think. That is where so much will come to you that will allow you to grow your business to what it really needs to be. It was actually, so we're an EOS company, and in EOS, they refer to this as a clarity break. And it was actually during a clarity break where I shifted my thinking completely, because I've always wanted to build a business of significance, but I still put restraints on it. I still put it inside of a box. I had said, and Kim, of course, was here for this because she's a co-owner and part of our leadership team. But we were in one of our EOS quarterly meetings, and I made the comment that I don't really want to get past X number of clients. And the reason why was because that's a lot of clients to be able to serve at the high level that we serve our clients, because we take pride in like amazing communication, very high level of service, doing very high quality work. And I'm thinking to myself, man, once we get past that, I don't know how we can possibly take care of that many clients. And it was during the clarity break when it came to me that Disney does this every day for thousands and thousands of clients. They create that amazing customer experience. And really, the only thing that you ever hear negative when you're talking about like going to the Disney parks or something like that is the price. And then, of course, the lines. But while you're in line, they are still making you happy. Happiest place on earth. Kim and I, we love to go on cruises, and we've been on quite a few Disney cruises. And Disney just does things different. And, they care, and they embed that deeply within every cast member, as they call them. And they do it for thousands of people every day. So I'm sitting there during that clarity break, and I'm like, if Disney does this, then why can't I? Why can't we? So during that clarity break, I took the walls down that I had built up that were going to keep this a semi-small business. And, when I say this, I mean Shop Marketing Pros, of course. The other thing that you have to do is you have to forget about past failures, because past failures will also make you think very small. In 2008, we went bankrupt. We lost our auto repair shop, primarily due to a road construction project. Again, I talk about all those details in episode 2. But when that happened, we had some employees that were just nasty to us. Like the way that they treated us when we went out of our way to make everything right for them when we shut down that business and when we went bankrupt, it was disgusting is what it really was. And because of that, when I opened my agency, I said, I don't want any employees. It was just going to be that kitchen table company that, in its purest sense, it was a lifestyle business. It was a job, is what it was. I said, I will never have another employee. And it wasn't until we'd hired Tony, who Kim met while she was at our local university talking to the marketing class. And Tony needed to do an internship. And he came and started working with myself and my business partner at the time. And we knew that we couldn't let Tony go when internship was over with. And it was like, okay, well, we'll just have a couple of employees. But it was those past failures that made me think like that. And it could be the same thing in your business, or maybe some past failures that you're hanging on to that make you want to just keep the business small.
And I would say before you forget about those past failures, you have to first process them and learn from them. Constantly saying the words fail forward. So fail, it's okay, but learn from it, then put it in the rearview mirror, as Ann Wilson says, and move forward. So don't just forget it because it happened for a reason. And I believe strongly that you keep encountering the same failures until you learn from them.
Yeah, 100%. When we lost that business, and again, I talk about this part of it in episode 2 also, it was primarily due to a road construction project, but it also was because I was not the businessman that I needed to be. I will never forget that entire experience because I want to learn from it. And I've put a lot into becoming the best businessman that I can be. And I'm still learning every day. I'm far from perfect, but I'm so much better now than I was then. At this point in my life, if you put me back in that same situation, I guarantee you we could navigate that without a problem. So, I'm telling you to forget about your past failures. So Kim's bringing up a really good point. Don't forget them. Learn from them. But you can't let them occupy your mind so much that it keeps you from being able to move past them. And then the next thing would be to find people who can help you. If you've listened to this podcast for any amount of time, you know that I'm big on coaching. I have multiple coaches myself, and, my coaches help me. So you can find a coach, you can find a mentor. We're in an amazing industry here. The auto repair industry is full of some really amazing people. And like you find another great shop owner, chances are they will mentor you. And some of the empires that I see people building right now, some of the stuff that's happening in auto repair, $500,000 weeks recently that I've seen posted about. And that's just crazy. And that's on a completely different level, so I'm not saying that you need to get there. Not saying it's a bad goal to have, but it's mind blowing that somebody can do that in a single auto repair shop to have $500,000 weeks. Anyway.
Well, it makes me think about the description you just gave a few minutes ago about the crabs. Instead of being in a bucket of crabs that are going to pull you down, be in a bucket of crabs that are going to, quick little lesson here. The sea turtles, I just learned about this. When they're hatching, they build like a pyramid of sea turtles in the nest, and they climb on top of each other. And the first one gets to the top and creates the little hole. And then, so they're digging, they're working together. And when the one at the top gets tired, it goes back down to the bottom. And then the one at the bottom ends up getting up to the top. So that's the picture that I get in my mind. I hope that's not anesthesia brain and that it makes sense. But
no, that's awesome. It's be the turtle, not the crab. And I truly believe that about the industry that we're in. In Kim's analogy, we are in an industry of turtles, not crabs. And I know that only a certain percentage of the industry are the ones who we're seeing at these events and who, maybe have that mindset. But there are so many people in this industry that would gladly help you. Those people that are out there doing this crazy stuff right now, like these crazy revenues. And it's not just about the revenue either. That means If you're doing $500,000 in revenue in a week, how many clients are you helping during the week? How many problems are you solving for people during the week? It's not just about the money. You're doing something of value in exchange for that money. So like the more that you're making, the more value that you're putting out there into the world. It's a complete mindset shift. So find people who can help you. There are so many people in this industry that'll help you. And then surround yourself with successful people. It doesn't need to be, just other auto repair shop owners. Your friend group, the people that you hang out with the most, they make so much more of an impact on you than you ever realize, than you ever think. Those people, you are an extension of them. So if you're hanging out with successful people, you are going to be successful. I mean, if you're hanging out with losers, you're going to be a loser.
Yeah, look around, see what people are doing. That's the phrase, the quote, you are the combination of the 5 people you hang around with the most.
Yeah.
Right? So look what they're doing.
So, and then you do the things that empire businesses do. There's a saying that says success leaves clues. If you just start looking at what successful people do and you start doing those things, then it is going to lead you to success. It's going to lead you towards success.
Same as the iron sharpens iron, right?
Yeah. And go all in and be unapologetic about it. That's that thing where people will guilt trip you into not being successful. The heck with that. When you decide to go all in your business, when you decide to, follow a model that you see and you're like, I'm seeing a lot of people do this thing and they're being successful at it. And then there's another group of people that don't like that direction, like there are methodologies of doing things. And it seems like there's certain people that like that methodology and people that hate that methodology. Man, if that methodology works for you and it gets you where you need to be, go all in, be unapologetic about it. And then who are you listening to? Kim, I'll let you talk about that.
Well, I mean, literally, what are you allowing in? And it could be listening, it could be reading, it could be podcasts, it could be people in your friend group, it could be even in your coaching groups. Are you in the right coaching group? So who are you taking advice from? Who are you paying attention to? Who are you listening to? That could be part of your clarity break where you really kind of dissect, who am I allowing to influence my thoughts? Because your thoughts become your words become your actions. And so you have to be very thoughtful about who you are allowing to influence you.
And then who are you teaching and mentoring? This podcast, for example, when I get on this podcast and I talk about a particular topic, this one is to stop playing small. When I am promoting the idea of stopping playing small, it embeds it that much more into me. The best way to learn something is to teach something. If you want to build a more successful shop, then find a shop owner that's not quite where you are yet and start teaching them and watch what happens in your own business. Teach people, mentor people. I have a young man that used to work for us that has started an agency that I'm now mentoring. There's a lot of fulfillment that comes from doing things like that. Kim is big on mentoring, and I know that she gets a lot of fulfillment from doing that.
Yeah, so along those same lines of thinking, I was just talking about paying attention to who you're listening to. But on the flip side of that, I would say for you to also consider who's watching you, who's following you, who's paying attention to your words, your actions, your habits, your behaviors. Recently, I was on a trip up to New York. We did Playing with the Pros, and I got some time to spend with our son, and he kind of blew my mind. Watching your young adult children grow and mature and blossom into who they are is really amazing. But he said to me somewhere in one of our conversations, he talked about, I listened to that podcast you and Dad did. And then he talked about a podcast Brian did specifically. And I was like, you're listening to our podcast? And he was like, I watch everything y'all do. And he started telling me how he was so, and I feel like I'm getting emotional just talking about it. He said he's so proud to talk about us to his friends and other cadets there at West Point. And he brags on us all the time. And he talks about how we came through a really difficult season. And he's talked about our weight struggles. He talked about leadership. He talked about our business, how it's nationally known and all this stuff. But it made me like I lost my breath just thinking about how our young adult is watching us and he's paying attention to how we're doing things and how we've grown and how we've overcome stuff. And it was just a really impactful moment. So I would encourage you to think about not only who are you listening to, but who's listening to you. And you might not even know. You might not even know that, like we didn't know our son was listening to our podcast. It's a big deal. We couldn't get him to listen to podcasts for anything. I'd send him, I'm not listening to podcasts, but now he listens to them and he's listening to ours. So I definitely would encourage you. And even when he was 7 years old, he goes back and he talks about things all the way back to when he was 7 years old. He can remember how we handled a situation or how we did this or how we did that. So even your young kids, but also your, like Brian said, your current employees who may later on be out on their own and you might be mentoring them and they're thinking back to things that you did. And if they would do it or if they would not do it, would they do it differently? Think about your family. Think about just people in the community, your friend group. I know that we have friends that talk all the time about our hard work, our determination, our drive, all the stuff that we're doing. So don't forget that when you're thinking about who you're listening to, turn that around and think about who is following, paying attention, being inspired by what you're doing.
And who better than for it to be your kids? I'm going to be real transparent here. When I think back to when our son got his driver's license, we were still in a tough spot then. I wondered, how am I going to buy him a vehicle? How are we going to come up with something for him to drive? And it was around that same time that my dad died. My mom gave my son my dad's truck. But, when Peyton got accepted into West Point, we didn't have to pay for college now. And made a deal with him. And I said, look, I'm going to buy you, we are going to buy you a truck when you graduate. And I figured, I'll be financing a truck for him and I'll be paying notes on it and all that. Well, turned out that Peyton wanted my Jeep and I was driving, a Jeep Gladiator that I bought brand new and I lifted it and put some big wheels and tires on it and it's all cool and everything. And he really liked it and he wanted that Jeep. So it'll be when Peyton comes home for Christmas this year, probably. Maybe. It'll be either then or it'll be at spring break next year, whenever West Point allows them to bring their vehicle back, because it's not a normal college where you just get to have a vehicle at any time. You really only get it for a little less than a year and a half. It's that final year. It's the end of his junior year and all of his senior year at West Point that he can have that vehicle. Well, he wanted the Jeep and I wanted a truck. I was able to just give him that Jeep and go and buy the truck that I wanted and pay cash for it. And I'm not saying that to brag about it. First of all, I'm talking about how quickly things can change. Peyton's 22 years old. 6 years ago when he got his driver's license, I didn't know how I was going to buy him some used vehicle. And I'm talking about, a $3,000 vehicle. And instead, now I'm giving him a $60,000 Jeep and not thinking twice about it, and paid cash for a truck that's a lot nicer than that Jeep. And being able to do that and having a kid who he knew when he turned 16, like we had conversations about, I don't know, what we're going to be getting you for a vehicle. You're probably going to be driving a beater. Like he's experienced everything. Now, he never felt the worst parts of this, but there were times when he was a kid that it was like, I don't know how we're buying groceries. We always did. God always provided every single time. We never went without one time. But there were many times where we wondered, how is this going to happen? But all of that has happened in a relatively short period of time. And it really comes from making a decision that you're going to do things differently. It was 2019, actually, when the decisions really started getting made. And we went in a different trajectory. And it's been nothing but an uphill climb since then. It's such a more enjoyable life. It's such a more fulfilling life, being able to do the things that we do now, being able to, like when we see a need somewhere, to be able to give. I'm going to leave it at that because there's some things I would love to talk about, but I'm just not going to talk about it. I'm just going to say that there's a lot of fulfillment that comes from having a business that allows you to live life on a different level. I'm encouraging you once again, don't settle for the lifestyle business. You're already doing this. I've got a friend who's in real estate, and he talks about how he can sell the $150,000 house or the $2 million house, and it's the exact same work for him to sell the $150,000 house or to sell the $2 million house. And the difference in commission, well, it's the same thing here. The work that you put into running a mediocre business, it's different than running a business that creates an empire for you, but it's no harder to build the empire business. You do have to do things differently, but it is not harder work to run a more successful business than it is to run one that is mediocre. You just have to do things differently. And then you have to define what true success is for you. And look, this works both ways, okay? Hey, if true success for you is just getting by, paying the bills, and being comfortable, and you are adamant that that is truly success for you, then okay. But I would argue that that's not truly success for you. That's just what you've convinced yourself to live down to that level because you feel like that's attainable, whereas the other thing would not be attainable. But you have to define what true success is for you, and nobody else's opinion matters. Like, it just doesn't. If true success for you is owning an airplane, and look, I know a shop owner right now that owns an airplane that was just posting about how he flew to one of the events that he goes to all the time, flew there, flew back, in his airplane. He said he had never been home from that event in Nashville the same night that the event ended until then, flew his airplane home. So yeah, as a shop owner, an airplane is not out of the question. If you want to wear the Rolex, wear the darn Rolex. If you want to take the expensive vacation, take the expensive vacation. I'm not saying that that's what you should do. I'm just saying that whatever it is that you define as success, nobody else's opinion matters. Don't live a life down to somebody else's standards. So in closing, first thing is identify where it is that you're playing small. And that comes down to that clarity break. And that's one of the questions that you can ask yourself in that clarity break is, where am I playing small? And decide to make a change. And you have to look at things like, do you have a coach? If you don't have a coach, that's number one place to start. Honestly, in this business, if you want to take your business to the next level and you do not have a coach, go get a coach. We have some amazing coaches in this industry. Go get a coach. If you already have a coach, you need to look at that coach and determine, is that the right coach? Are they pushing you to build a business of significance? If they're not, they're probably not the right coach. If they're not giving you permission, not that you need permission, but I'm giving you permission in this episode. You don't need my permission. I'm giving it to you anyway. If your coaches are not giving you permission to live a life of significance, maybe you need a new coach. You need to look at the relationship that you have with the coach. And if that coach is not pushing you to be better every single day, they're probably not the right coach. We're marketers. I'd be remiss to ask the question, are the marketers you're working with the right marketers? Are they getting you the results that you need to have this kind of success in your business? Are the marketers you're working with the right marketers? Is the team that you have working for you, your employees, that you're loyal to, you love them, they've been working for you for years, you have the most amazing relationship with them, are they the right people? Because it's very possible that they're not, and you're so loyal to them that they're still on your team. And that's the wrong decision when it comes to building a business of significance. Are your friends, the people that you hang out with the most, are they pushing you to do better, or are they dragging you down? I know my friends celebrate my wins. I celebrate my friends' wins. Our two closest friends right now are mortgage free, and we've celebrated that with them. We are happy for them. I pushed one of them to do it because he had the ability, and it was like, I don't know. I mean, it's a big deal. Not hopefully, we will be next on that list, and they will be cheering us along as we're doing it. So are your friends the right friends? If your friends are not celebrating your successes with you, they are not the right friends. So that's really all I've got for the day. Kim, you got anything?
No.
Long episode.
To me, it was a long episode. Brian's torturing me sitting over here, but I'm glad to be back with y'all.
So again, I want to thank our sponsors, RepairPal and App Fueled. We could not do this without them. Hey, if you want to have someone take a look at your marketing, we offer a free digital marketing inspection. Like your digital vehicle inspection, we do a digital marketing inspection. It's completely free. Go to digitalmarketinginspection.com and you can get that done. We are just one of a handful of podcasts on the Aftermarket Radio Network. You really should go check out the other ones. There's some great information in all of those other podcasts. Go check out Craig O'Neill's new podcast that's all about communication. I hope that you'll listen in again next week. But until then, go fill those bays.
You've been listening to the Auto Repair Marketing Podcast with Kim and Brian Walker. Follow the podcast on your favorite listening app. Find their emails in the show notes and visit them at shopmarketingpros.com. Let Kim and Brian know what you want discussed, because they're all about advancing the aftermarket.